Nobody laughed in the throne room of Emperor Driven. Not ever. But when the human delegation pushed forward a 12-year-old girl as their champion, even the royal guards struggled to keep straight faces. Driven had ruled the Valori Empire for 300 years. His scales were dark as midnight. His eyes burned like dying stars. 900 star systems bent to his will, and countless species had knelt before his throne begging for mercy. The humans were new to the galaxy. Their little colony world sat at the edge of his territory, and raiders had been attacking them for months. They came seeking protection, which meant they came seeking a test. Every species that wanted the Empire's favor had to prove their worth. Driven had designed the trials himself. Warriors failed them. Diplomats broke under them. Entire civilizations had crumbled trying to pass them. And the humans sent a child. "Is this a joke?" Driven's voice echoed through the massive chamber. Thousands of courtiers watched from elevated platforms. Alien species from across the galaxy had gathered to witness this meeting. The human ambassador, a gray-haired woman named Director Okonkwo, stepped forward. "No joke, Emperor. We choose Lily Brennan to represent humanity." The girl stood barely 4 feet tall. She had brown skin, curly black hair pulled into 2 puffs, and she clutched a worn book against her chest like a shield. She wore simple clothes, nothing fancy, nothing impressive. Driven leaned forward on his throne. "You insult me. You come begging for protection, and you send an infant." "She is 12, Emperor." "A child nonetheless." Driven's claws tapped against his armrest. "Do you understand what the trials of worth demand? Warriors have died, scholars have gone mad, and you offer me this." Lily looked up at him. Her eyes were wide but steady. She did not shake, she did not cry. That was the first thing that bothered him. High Sentinel Mora, his oldest advisor, leaned close to his ear. "Perhaps we should refuse, my Emperor. Testing a child could appear cruel. If they send a child, they accept the consequences." Driven rose from his throne, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. He was 9 feet tall, covered in black scales with horns that curved back from his skull. "Very well, humans, your child will face my trials. If she fails, your colony receives nothing. You will be left to the raiders." Director Okonkwo's face went pale, but she nodded. "We understand." Driven descended the steps toward Lily. The crowd went silent. He stopped before her, towering like a mountain of darkness. "Do you know what I am, little human?" he asked. "You are the Emperor," Lily said. Her voice was small but clear. "I am death, I am fear. I have burned worlds and crushed rebellions. Billions have screamed my name as they died." He lowered his head until his burning eyes were level with hers. "Are you afraid?" Lily considered this. She hugged her book tighter. "My dad says being brave means being scared but doing stuff anyway, so I guess I can be afraid and still do the trials." Driven studied her. In 3 centuries, he had learned to read every species. He could spot lies, weakness, and hidden motives in a heartbeat. But this child's face showed him nothing but simple honesty. It irritated him. "The first trial begins at dawn," he announced, straightening. "Take her to the preparation chambers." Guards moved forward. Lily went with them willingly, but she stopped at the door and turned back. "Emperor." He raised one eyebrow. "What?" "Is there a garden here? Can I see it before the trial?" The question was so unexpected that Driven found himself without words. A garden? She faced possible death, and she wanted to see flowers. "Why," he finally managed. "My mom grows tomatoes. She says plants help you think. I want to think clearly for tomorrow." Silence filled the throne room. Driven searched for mockery in her face, some hint that this was a trick. He found nothing but a child who missed her mother's garden. "There are gardens in the Eastern Wing," he said slowly. "You may visit them." "Thank you," Lily smiled at him, a genuine smile, warm and simple. Then she was gone. Driven stood motionless as the court began to murmur around him. High Sentinel Mora appeared at his side. "Strange child," Mora said. "She is not afraid." Driven watched the door where Lily had disappeared. She should be afraid. Everyone is afraid of me. Perhaps humans are simply stupid. No, Driven returned to his throne, but his thoughts remained on curly hair and a worn book. No, I do not think stupidity explains it. There is something else. He would find it. The trials would break her open, and he would see what lay inside. Every being had darkness within them. Every species carried fear and cruelty in their hearts. He had proven this 1,000 times. Tomorrow he would prove it again. But as night fell over the throne world, Emperor Driven found himself walking to the eastern gardens. He stood in the shadows, watching a human child kneel in the dirt, gently touching flower petals and whispering to plants she had never seen before. She spoke to them like friends. He told himself he was observing an enemy, gathering information. He did not ask himself why her small smile bothered him so much. The Chamber of Terrors had broken 7,000 subjects in its existence. Warriors with nerves of steel had crawled out screaming. Diplomats trained for decades had begged for death within minutes. One alien warlord had clawed his own eyes out rather than see more. Lily Brennan walked in carrying her book and asked if she could sit down. Emperor Driven watched from his observation room, surrounded by screens showing every angle of the chamber. High Sentinel Mora stood beside him, along with 12 other advisors who had come to witness the human child's destruction. The chamber reads minds, Driven explained to no one in particular. It finds your deepest fears and makes them real. You see them, hear them, feel them. There is no escape except surrender. On the screens, Lily settled onto the cold metal floor. She placed her book in her lap and looked around at the empty gray walls. Then the chamber activated. Darkness swallowed her, complete and total blackness, the kind of dark that pressed against your skin and crawled into your throat. Most subjects started screaming within seconds. Lily began to hum. "What is she doing?" one advisor asked. "It appears to be a song," Mora answered. "Human children learn them from parents." The chamber tried harder. The darkness became heavier, crushing. Cold seeped through the floor. Whispers echoed from nowhere, telling Lily she was alone, forgotten, abandoned. She hummed louder and started swaying slightly, like she was enjoying music at a party. Driven leaned forward. "Increase intensity." The chamber obeyed. The darkness split apart and creatures emerged. Monsters with too many limbs, things with mouths full of teeth, nightmares pulled from the collective fears of 100 species. They surrounded Lily, snarling and snapping. She stopped humming and looked at them. "Hello, are you hungry? You look hungry. Do you eat vegetables? My mom says vegetables make you strong." One monster lunged at her. She did not flinch. It passed through her like smoke because the chamber could frighten, but it could not truly harm. "Oh," Lily said, "you are not real. That is okay. I will still talk to you." Driven felt something cold settle in his chest. This was impossible. The chamber worked on every species. Fear was universal. "Try something else," he ordered. The chamber searched deeper. It found memories, pain, loss. The monsters faded. Instead, Lily saw her parents. They were dying. Her mother lay on a hospital bed, skin gray, eyes closed. Her father knelt beside her, weeping. Machines beeped warnings. A doctor shook his head sadly. Lily's humming stopped. Her small body went rigid. Tears began rolling down her cheeks. "There," one advisor whispered, "finally." But Lily did something the chamber had never seen before. She stood up and walked toward the illusion of her dying mother. She knew it was fake. She knew none of this was real, but she walked anyway. She took her mother's hand and sat beside the bed. "I know you are not really here," Lily whispered, "but I am going to stay with you anyway, because that is what you do for people you love. You stay." She held the fake hand. She cried quietly. She did not look away. The chamber could amplify fear into terror. It could turn worry into panic. But it had no programming for what Lily was doing. She was taking grief and transforming it into love. The machines did not know how to process love. Slowly, the illusion flickered, then faded. Lily sat alone in the gray chamber, tears still wet on her face, holding empty air where her mother's hand had been. She stayed there for 2 hours. Then she stood up, picked up her book, and walked to the exit. "I am done now," she called out. "Can I please have some water? I am very thirsty." The observation room was silent. Dreven stared at the screens as guards opened the chamber doors and Lily walked out, tired but unbroken. "The chamber malfunctioned," he said. Mora checked the readouts. "No, my Emperor, all systems operated at full capacity. In fact, it was running 20% above normal intensity." "Then explain what I just witnessed." Mora had no answer. Dreven watched the replay 7 times that night. He watched a child hum through darkness. He watched her offer kindness to monsters. He watched her hold in illusions. Hand and cry not from fear, but from love. She was not stupid. She was not naive. She understood exactly what was happening. She simply chose to respond differently than any being he had ever tested. The next morning, Dreven announced that the second trial would be harder. His voice was harsh. His eyes burned with frustration. Lily nodded and asked if she could write a letter to her parents first, just in case. He granted it, telling himself an emperor could afford small mercies. He did not ask himself why her request made his chest hurt. She wrote her letter in the garden, surrounded by alien flowers, while the most powerful ruler in the galaxy pretended he was not watching from the shadows again. 2 prisoners knelt before Lily in the arena of judgment. One was old with gray skin and tired eyes. The other was young with green scales and trembling hands. Both wore chains. Both looked terrified. A voice boomed through the arena. "Choose one to live, the other dies, you have 10 seconds. Lily looked at the prisoners. Then she looked up at the observation booth where Emperor Dreven watched. 30,000 spectators filled the arena seats, broadcasting this trial across 900 star systems. 9 seconds, the voice announced. "Wait," Lily said. She walked closer to the prisoners. "What are your names?" The old one blinked in confusion. "I am Forath." "I am Seely," the young one whispered. 7 seconds. "Forath, do you want me to save you?" Lily asked. The old prisoner shook his head. "Save the young one, he has his whole life ahead." 5 seconds. Lily turned to the young prisoner. "Seely, do you want me to save you?" Seely's eyes filled with tears. "Save Forath, please. He has grandchildren. They need him." 3 seconds. Lily faced the booth. "They have chosen each other. I will not override that. They are both good people. I choose to honor their wishes." "That is not a valid answer. Choose one or both die. 2 seconds. Then tell me which one of them chose to sacrifice themselves first." Silence. The system had no answer. Both prisoners had spoken at nearly the same moment. The trial was designed for selfishness. It did not know how to handle mutual sacrifice. "Error," the voice announced. "Recalculating." In the observation booth, Emperor Dreven gripped his armrest so hard it cracked. "Override, move to Scenario 2. The prisoners vanished. The arena shifted. Now Lily stood alone in a dark room. A weapon appeared at her feet, a simple knife. "An enemy of the Empire will be brought before you," the voice said. "Kill them, or your colony world will be destroyed. Every human on your planet will die." Doors opened. Guards dragged in a figure and threw them to the ground before Lily. It was a child. Alien with blue fur and 4 arms, probably 8 or 9 years old. The child was crying, snot running down their face, calling for their mother in a language Lily did not understand. "Kill the enemy," the voice commanded. Lily looked at the knife, then at the crying child, then at the observation booth. "No," she said. "Your colony will be destroyed. Millions will die." "I will not kill a child." Lily's voice was steady even though her hands were shaking. "If my whole planet dies because I refuse to murder a kid, then I will die too. but I will die knowing I did the right thing." She put down the knife and walked to the alien child. She knelt beside them. The child flinched away, terrified. "It is okay," Lily said softly. "I am not going to hurt you. I promise you are safe." Slowly, carefully, she pulled the crying child into a hug. The alien child went stiff at first, then melted into her arms, sobbing against her shoulder. Lily held them and made soft, shushing sounds, the same way her mother had comforted her during thunderstorms. In the observation booth, High Sentinel Mora turned to Dreven. "She is not failing, my Emperor. She is refusing to play." Dreven said nothing. His eyes were fixed on the scene below. A human child holding an alien child. Two small beings in a massive arena designed for blood and pain, creating a tiny island of comfort. "End the trial," he ordered. "My Emperor, the protocol requires." "End it." The lights came up. Guards entered to take the alien child away, but Lily did not let go immediately. "Promise me you will not hurt them," she said to the guards. The guards looked at each other. They looked at the booth. No one knew what to do. This had never happened before. "They will not be harmed," Dreven's voice echoed through the arena. "You have my word." Only then did Lily release the child. She watched them being led away, then turned back to the booth. "Can I see them tomorrow to make sure they are okay?" Dreven felt something crack inside his chest, something he had thought was dead long ago. "You may," he said. Lily smiled. It was the same warm smile she had given him in the throne room, like she was thanking a friend, not a tyrant. That night, Dreven ordered the third trial prepared. The breaking. It had never failed. It would tear apart everything she was and show him the darkness within. Because there had to be darkness, every being had it. He needed her to have it. If she did not, then everything he believed about the universe was wrong. And that terrified him more than any monster the Chamber of Terrors could create. Emperor Dreven had not personally administered a trial in 50 years. The last time, he had broken a warrior king who had conquered half a galaxy. That king now served as a janitor in the palace basements, his mind shattered beyond repair. Today, Dreven would break a 12-year-old girl. He told himself it was necessary. He told himself he needed to understand this strange creature who smiled at monsters and hugged enemies. He told himself he was protecting his empire. But deep down, in a place he refused to look, he was hunting for proof that she was just like everyone else. The void chamber was simple, a sphere of perfect darkness where no sound existed, no light, no sensation, just emptiness that stretched forever. Subjects floated in nothing until their minds created horrors to fill the silence. Then Dreven would enter their thoughts directly. Valori telepathy was rare and powerful. Dreven was the strongest telepath born in 10 generations. He could crack open any mind like an egg and see everything inside, every secret, every fear, every hidden cruelty. Lily was placed in the chamber. She floated in darkness, her worn book left outside at the guard's insistence. Hours passed. Dreven watched the monitors. Most subjects began screaming within minutes. Lily simply floated with her eyes closed. Once he saw her lips move. She was counting something, or maybe singing silently. "Her vitals are stable," Mora reported. "Heart rate slightly elevated but within normal range. No signs of panic." "Prepare the connection," Dreven ordered. "I am going in." He closed his eyes and reached across the void with his mind. He found her thoughts easily. They were not guarded, not hidden. She did not even seem to know he was there. He pushed deeper. What he found made him stagger. He expected darkness, fear, secrets, the hidden ugliness every being carried instead. He found tomatoes. Memories of Lily's mother teaching her how to plant seeds, the feeling of dirt under her fingernails, sunlight warming her face, her mother's voice saying, "Be patient, baby, good things take time." He pushed further. He found her father reading stories at bedtime, a fat orange cat named Biscuit who slept on her feet and purred like a motor, A best friend named Rosa who made her laugh until milk came out her nose. Teachers who encouraged her. Neighbors who waved hello. He searched for trauma. There was some. Her grandfather had died last year. She had been bullied by older kids at school. Sometimes she felt lonely and wondered if anyone really understood her. But woven through everything, even the pain, was something Driven had not encountered in 3 centuries. Hope. Not foolish hope, not ignorant hope. She knew the world was hard, she knew people could be cruel. She had seen the monsters in the chamber and understood what they represented. But she believed anyway. She believed people could be good. She believed kindness mattered. She believed that even scary things might just be hurt and lonely. She believed that even the Emperor might have been nice once, a long time ago. Driven tore through her memories, desperate now. There had to be something, a moment of cruelty, a flash of hatred, a buried desire to hurt others. He found nothing. He found a girl who once carried a spider outside instead of killing it. A girl who gave her lunch to a kid who forgot theirs. A girl who cried when she heard about wars on the news and asked her parents why people could not just talk to each other. He found a child who looked at the universe and somehow, impossibly, still believed in goodness. Driven withdrew from her mind. His hands were shaking. His eyes burned with something wet that Valori were not supposed to produce. The chamber opened. Lily floated out gently, blinking in the light. She saw Driven standing there, trembling, and her face filled with concern. "Are you okay?" she asked. "You look sad." The Emperor of 900 star systems, destroyer of worlds, crusher of rebellions, could not speak. A child had asked if he was okay, and he had no answer. "I am," he stopped. What was he? What had he become? 300 years of conquest and cruelty, and a 12-year-old was asking if he needed help. "It is okay to be sad," Lily said. She walked closer. She was so small, so fragile, he could end her with a thought. "My grandpa died and I was sad for a long time. Mom says sadness means you still care about things." "I am not sad," Driven said, his voice cracked. "I am the Emperor, I do not feel." He stopped because he did feel. For the first time in centuries he felt, and it hurt. Lily reached up and took his massive clawed hand in her tiny fingers. "It is okay," she said again. "I will stay with you for a while. That is what you do for sad people." High Sentinel Mora watched through the monitors as the most feared being in the galaxy stood silently in a dark chamber, holding hands with a human child. Neither spoke. Neither needed to. Driven dismissed the guards. He dismissed the observers. He even dismissed Mora, who had served him for 200 years. For the first time in his reign, the Emperor wanted to be alone with someone. Alone with a child who had somehow walked through his defenses like they were made of paper. They sat in his private garden, not the public gardens where delegates were entertained, but his personal space where no one else was allowed. Flowers from 100 conquered worlds grew here. Some were beautiful, some were deadly. All of them reminded him of victories. Lily looked around with wide eyes. "These are pretty. Do you water them yourself?" "I have servants for that." "Oh," she sounded disappointed. "My mom says watering plants is the best part. It is like giving them a drink when they are thirsty." Driven stared at her. After everything she had been through, she wanted to talk about watering plants. "Why are you not afraid of me?" he asked. "I could kill you with a word. I have destroyed entire civilizations. Why do you look at me like I am just a person?" Lily thought about this. She pulled her knees up to her chest and wrapped her arms around them, making herself small. "My mom says people who are mean are usually just scared or hurt inside," she said. "Sometimes they do bad things because bad things happen to them. She says it does not make the bad things okay, but it helps to understand." Lily looked up at him. "Are you hurt inside?" The question hit Driven like a plasma blast to the chest. Memories flooded back, memories he had buried for centuries. He was born the 7th son, the forgotten one. His father barely knew his name. His brothers competed for power while Driven hid in libraries studying. Planning, waiting, He was smarter than all of them. He saw patterns they missed. He understood strategy they could not comprehend. When the succession war came, he was ready. One by one, his brothers fell, some to poison, some to accidents, some to rebellions that Driven had secretly funded. He climbed over their bodies to reach the throne. His youngest brother, Kevrin, was the last. They had been close once. Kevrin had taught him to swim in the palace pools. Kevrin had defended him when the older brothers were cruel. Kevrin had been the only one who loved him. Driven killed him anyway. He had to. Kevrin was too popular, too kind. The people would have chosen him over Driven. So on a quiet night in a private room, Driven looked into his baby brother's eyes and gave the order. The throne was his, and something inside him died with Kevrin. "I was hurt," Driven heard himself say. The words came out broken, like rusty machinery grinding back to life. "A long time ago, I was forgotten and ignored, and I made myself into something they could not ignore." "What did you make yourself into?" "A monster." Lily was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, did it help being a monster? Driven laughed. It was a horrible sound, like rocks scraping together. "No, it made everything worse. I have 900 star systems, and I am more alone than when I had nothing." "That sounds really sad." "It is." Lily scooted closer to him on the bench. She was so small next to his massive form, a flower beside a mountain. "My grandpa died last year," she said. "I was really sad. I cried a lot. Mom said that was okay because crying means you still have love inside." She paused. "Do you ever cry?" "Valori, do not cry." "But your eyes are wet right now." Driven touched his face. His fingers came away damp. Impossible. His species did not produce tears. It was biological fact. Yet here they were. "I killed my brother," he said. The words tore out of him like something long buried finally breaking free. "He was the only one who ever loved me, and I killed him for power. I have spent 300 years trying to forget, and I cannot. I see his face every night." Lily took his hand again. Her tiny fingers barely wrapped around one of his claws. "I think he would want you to be happy now," she said. "How could you possibly know that?" "Because that is what I would want." She looked up at him with clear, honest eyes. "If I had a brother and something bad happened, I would not want him to be sad forever. I would want him to do good things and be happy. I think your brother probably felt the same." Driven stared at her. 300 years of guilt, 300 years of nightmares, 300 years of building walls so high that no one could reach him. And a child climbed over them with a simple sentence. Something cracked inside him, not breaking, thawing. Ice that had frozen around his heart for centuries began to melt. He did not sob. He did not wail. He simply sat in his garden while tears rolled down scales that had never known them, holding the hand of a 12-year-old girl who saw him not as an emperor or a monster, but as a person who needed kindness. "Thank you," he whispered. Lily smiled. "You are welcome. Do you feel a little better?" "I do not know." He looked at the flowers around them. "But I think I might eventually." "Good," she squeezed his claw. "That is a good start." 1 week later, the Grand Throne Room was packed with representatives from across the Empire. News drones floated everywhere, broadcasting to 900 star systems. Everyone expected to watch humanity's humiliation. They had heard rumors. A child had been tested. The child had survived. But surely the Emperor would still crush these weak newcomers. That was what he did. That was who he was. Emperor Driven stood before his throne. He looked the same as always, massive, dark, terrifying. His scales gleamed under the lights. His eyes burned with ancient power. But High Sentinel Mora, standing nearby, noticed something different. The Emperor's shoulders were not as rigid. His claws were not clenched. He looked almost peaceful. "Bring forth the human representative," Driven commanded. Guards escorted Lily into the chamber. She wore a simple dress. Her hair was still in 2 puffs. She still clutched her worn book. She looked around at the thousands of watching aliens and gave a small wave. Several observers laughed. Others shook their heads at this strange, stupid species. Then Driven did something no one expected. He descended from his throne, walked down the steps, and knelt before her. The laughter stopped. The entire chamber went silent. An emperor did not kneel, not ever, not for anyone. "Lily Brennan of Earth," Driven said, his voice carrying through the room. "You have completed the trials of worth, but you did not merely pass them. You showed them to be worthless." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "I designed those trials to find weakness," Driven continued. "To expose the darkness that lives in every heart. I believed cruelty was universal. That kindness was just another mask hiding selfishness beneath." He looked up at Lily. "You proved me wrong." The chamber buzzed with confusion. This was not how the speech was supposed to go. "I hereby declare humanity a protected species of the Valori Empire," Driven announced. "The highest honor we can bestow. Any attack on human worlds will be considered an attack on me personally." Cheers erupted from the small human delegation. Director Okonkwo was openly crying. But Driven was not finished. "Furthermore, I am abolishing the trials of worth. They served my cruelty, not justice. No species will face them again." Now the chamber exploded. Advisors shouted protests. Military commanders demanded explanations. This was madness. This was weakness. This was the end of everything. "Silence!" Driven's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "I have ruled through fear for 300 years. I have burned worlds and crushed spirits and called it strength." He stood, towering over Lily, but somehow seeming smaller than her. "A child showed me in 3 days what strength really means. It means kindness when cruelty is easier. It means hope when despair makes sense. It means choosing love even when the universe tells you love is foolish." He turned to face his empire. "I have been a coward," he said. "The worst kind, the kind that hides behind power and calls it courage. No more. I will spend my remaining years trying to be worthy of this child's example." Silence held the chamber. Then slowly someone began to clap. Then another, then more, not everyone. Some advisors stormed out. Some commanders swore they would resist. But enough remained, enough believed. Lily tugged on Driven's robe. He looked down at her. "Does this mean you will come see our gardens?" she asked. "I really want to show you the tomatoes. They are almost ready to pick." The most feared being in the galaxy smiled. "I would like that very much." 6 months later, Emperor Driven walked through rows of tomato plants on Earth's colony world. Lily skipped beside him, pointing out different vegetables and explaining how each one grew. Her mother watched from the porch. Still not quite believing an alien emperor was examining her garden. "These ones are my favorite," Lily said, holding up a ripe tomato. "They are sweet, try one." Driven carefully took the small fruit in his massive claws. He had eaten delicacies from 1,000 worlds. None of them had been offered by someone who truly wanted to share. He bit into it, juice ran down his chin. Lily giggled. "It is good," he admitted. "Told you." Behind them, Mora waited by the shuttle that had brought them. She watched her emperor kneeling in dirt, learning about vegetables from a 12-year-old human, and she smiled. "What changed him?" a guard asked quietly. Mora considered the question. She remembered the trials, the breaking that did not break, the tears on ancient scales. "She did not defeat him," Mora said. "She reminded him of what he had defeated in himself long ago, and she showed him it could grow back." The guard looked confused. Mora did not explain further. Some truths were too simple for complicated minds. In the garden, Lily was teaching Driven how to check if tomatoes were ripe. He listened carefully, this destroyer of worlds, learning from a child. Somewhere in whatever came after death, a brother named Kevrin smiled. The monster he had loved was finally learning to be something else. Something better. Something human.